Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Crown and Skull. So, what is Crown and Skull? So I want to talk about Crown and Skull, and in this video, I'm gonna dig into exactly what Crown and Skull is and is not, and that's going to be completely in context to Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to tell you what's different about Crown and Skull than Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm going to tell you this from my current experience running a campaign with Crown and Skull. So if you want to know the story of the campaign, go to the Arbor Adventures playlist and you'll hear the full story. Now, we're actually using Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms setting, but we're using the Crown and Skull rules, me and the Gold Dragon Master. And I was going to include, and so now I'm splitting this off, and the reason why is I'm learning a lot about the Crown and Skull rule set. And I wanted to split this off and talk about the Crown and Skull rule set distinct from the story of the campaign, right? That way, if you're digging the Arbor Adventure, you can get the story there, but you can hear my thoughts on Crown and Skull here, right? So let's dive in. So what is Crown and Skull? So I have a very strong understanding of that because I'm running it, right? And do and you will understand, right? It's one of my favorite sayings from one of my favorite people. And so let's dive in. So let's talk about this. All right. What is Crown and Skull? It is hero points. It is attrition. It is phases. Let me define that. Hero points. This is the most powerful part of Crown and Skull. And basically you build your character with hero points. You have a core ability, right? Something that only your character class can do. And there is no character class in Crown and Skull. There is this core ability, right? And each core ability does have a name to it. And so you could consider that your class, but technically it's your core ability, right? And so basically, like, empath is investigate. You have 3 skills for free, like investigation, streetwise, and oratory, right? Battle Master, right? When you Battle Master is every round you can hit 2 opponents rather than 1. That's incredibly deadly, right? And it makes fighters way more deadly, right? And so hero points are these things that you use to adjust equipment, build your character, buy your companion, improve your skills, and improve everything else you have on your character. It's a really big, cool deal, right? And it is really fascinating. I think it's really, very, very fascinating and cool. And the hero points, and the biggest thing that the hero points really deliver is the hero points let you make exactly the character you want. Whereas when you build in Dungeons and Dragons flat with regular Dungeons and Dragons rules, basically you're building a Dungeons and Dragons character that you hope will look like the character you wanted, right? And it's way less flexible, and it takes a lot longer to build a character that is way off from your expectations. Now, people who play Dungeons and Dragons, they don't even realize this, right? People who play Dungeons and Dragons a lot, they don't realize, oh, I'm making a character that's in the shape of a Dungeons and Dragons character. I'm not making exactly the character I want, right? But once you see it done with hero points in Crown and Skull, it is astonishing. It is absolutely astonishing, right? And I exactly how fast and how flexible it is, right? I appreciate your patience. I was going to start to talk about, some of those other points in here, but I really want to kind of chunk this up, and I want to talk about each one of these points individually. So today, I'm just going to talk about Crown and Skull's hero points. If you don't own Crown and Skull, get it. Buy this book. Buy the hard copy. If you buy the hard copy, you will get the digital copy with it. It actually comes. There's a deal on Runehammer where you can buy the hard copy and they'll send the digital to you, which is really phenomenal. Dungeons and Dragons does not do that, right? Like, you buy the now actually you can get the same bundle at Dungeons and Dragons, but it costs $10 extra, right? It's not terrible, but it's not as good a deal as Runehammer is giving you. Get Crown and Skull, right? And today I just wanted to talk about the hero points. I am going to go ahead and talk, more in depth about each one of these really critical differences of Crown and Skull from Dungeons and Dragons. So basically, leveling and character creation is astonishingly different in Crown and Skull, and I do think the Crown and Skull system is better. Now you're like, wait a second, Scott, are you saying Crown and Skull's character creation is better than Dungeons and Dragons? Yes, that's what I'm saying. And you're like, wait a second, Scott, you always say that Dungeons and Dragons is the best game out there, right? The best tabletop role-playing experience you can get. That's correct. Well, if this one's better, and it's, here's why. Like, this is a reality we have learned. You could defeat every single aspect of Dungeons and Dragons rules, and you ain't gonna beat Dungeons and Dragons. And the reason why is Dungeons and Dragons is a platform. Dungeons and Dragons is movies and Legos and sneakers and cereal and your girlfriend knows what it is, or your boyfriend knows what it is without you having to tell them, right? Whereas every other OSR and indie, it doesn't have fame, it has lane, right? And so the reality is, yes, I would say all the rules in Crown and Skull are better than Dungeons and Dragons. Doesn't mean it's a better tabletop role-playing experience, because nobody knows Crown and Skull. This thing is a sleeper. Nobody knows about this thing, right? So just kind of wanted to point that out. Every single word you just heard is my opinion on Crown and Skull's epic hero points. The important part is when I get to hear your opinion on Crown and Skull, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on any other OSR or indie that you enjoy. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.